Hey there, and welcome back to our video series on language structures. My name is Anna DiGilio if you're new here. I was a primary teacher for 23 years, and on this channel, we dive into all things literacy, especially digging into the science of reading research and structured literacy. So if you are new, please click that little subscribe button and that little bell next to it so you're alerted every time one of my new videos goes live. So let's dive in. Today, we're going to explore how to use semantic maps in your classroom to strengthen semantics. Now remember, when we're talking about language structures and we're thinking about Scarborough's reading rope, we've got the lower strands, which are our word recognition strands, and we have our upper strands, which is our language comprehension strands. And semantics lives right underneath language structures. And that's what this whole video series is about. It's about focusing on that part of Scarborough's reading rope, which is language structures, and we're diving into semantics with this video series. Now, if you have not yet watched my first video called Understanding Semantics, please be sure to go back to that video and watch it first. It really lays the foundation necessary to dive into the rest of the videos that really focus on individual activities. So with that being said, let's jump into today's video on semantic maps. So today, as I said, we're diving into the wonderful world of semantic maps and discovering why they're such an important learning tool for your young readers and learners. And let me start by saying the research is very clear on the use of semantic maps. They are effective when it comes to student achievement. A quick search through academic journals and Google Scholar brings up dozens of studies that have been done to show the effectiveness of using semantic maps all the way from elementary classrooms through college classrooms. But before we dive in, we need to cover the basics. So what exactly is a semantic map? A semantic map, as you can see, this one here, is a visual organizer that helps us to understand and connect ideas and concepts. So imagine it's kind of like a map for our thoughts, where we can see how different concepts are actually related. By placing a central idea in the middle and then branching out to related topics, children can see how ideas are interconnected. So as you can see, we're dealing with animals here, and we've got animals in the middle, and then all of the different little breakouts of animals and the different types of animals. Of course, this isn't exhaustive, but I just wanted to give you an idea. Now, if you've watched my video on categorization and classification, you already know about schemes, those little boxes in our brain that organize information by finding which mental box new knowledge fits in, right? And adjusting our schemes when new information does not fit. So you can kind of think of a semantic map as a visual representation of these schemes. Like, this is a box in our brain. This is a box in our brain. This is a box in our brain. These are our schemes. Let's look at this specific example using animals as our topic. We can create a semantic map with the word animals in the middle, in the center, and then we draw branches to different categories like mammals, fish, insects, reptiles. Next, we can actually expand each category with more specific examples. Let's do an example of what I mean. So let's say we look at mammals. How can we break up mammals even further? How can we add more information and be more specific with examples of mammals underneath? We can say dogs, because students will say dogs are mammals. We could say cats. Cats are mammals, okay? And we can start to categorize and bring more examples under each of our specific areas of the semantic map. Because what this does, it really helps us see the big picture on how all of these animals are actually connected. They're all connected to that middle word of animals. Now, semantic maps are really especially helpful for reading and learning new words. So at a quick glance, learners can see terms on a page and understand how they're all interconnected. Now, semantic maps also make abstract ideas more concrete and they can help turn complex information into easy to understand visual representations. This process really enhances comprehension and retention. So when students visually organize relationships between concepts, they're much more likely to remember and understand the material much more deeply. When children create semantic maps, kind of like the one that I have here, they're actually engaging in active learning. They're not just passively receiving the information, they're organizing, categorizing, and classifying, and they're making sense of what they learn. This alone can make learning more interactive and fun because the kids can draw, they can write, and they can really explore new ideas much more creatively. Now you can see how really utilizing semantic maps like this in your classroom can really pay off for your young learners and readers. You can use semantic maps across all subjects, and they often can sneak their way into my daily or at least weekly lessons. And bringing them in at really strategic points during reading instruction can have a huge payoff. I'm going to show you one example and a way that I use semantic maps in my reading instruction. If you've watched my previous videos in this series on semantics, you'll know that I complete a semantics warm-up activity with students every time we're about to read a new book. In this case, it's a new decodable book called Jack's Piglets. And what we're doing is we're really focusing on key vocabulary that's going to appear in the book, and I do a semantics activity that helps with it. So when the book lends itself well to this, I make sure to choose semantic maps as my quick warm-up activity. Let's take this book, Jack's Piglets, as our example. This is one of our decodable books that's part of our Structured Literacy with Ease program. In this book, one of the key terms that we're going to focus on is the word wean. I will first help students define and understand the meaning of the word wean. So we would discuss which animals produce milk for their young, and then we'll brainstorm examples of animals that have to be weaned. Then we'll draw a semantic map, and with that category in the middle of animals that are weaned from their mothers. And students can practice filling in the circles on the semantic map. For young learners, students can add animals from like a previous discussion, like cows, cats, goats, sheep, and humans to their circles. I do ask them to focus on the word wean when they're adding an animal to the map. So I would say piglets are weaned from their mother's milk when they are young. So I would write piglets. Okay? And then I might say, well, what's another one? Cows are weaned from their mother's milk when they're young. So we would add to the chart of different animals that are weaned from their mother's milk as they continue to grow. And we can even, of course, bring humans into this, right? So we can bring that in as well. So this, I would help them to do this, and we would reinforce the students saying that piglets are weaned from their mother's milk when they're young or when they start to grow up, right? So this really helps to reinforce and use their knowledge and focus on the vocabulary word that we're focusing on, right? So the vocabulary word that we were focusing on was weaned. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that they're utilizing the word as they're doing the activity. We want to keep using that word. When I do this activity very simply like this, I like to extend this with like an open sort as well. And I'll ask students how they would sort the animals that they see on their semantic map. For example, they might choose to sort them based on categories, whether they're farm animals or zoo animals or pets. So this is a great way to bring in classification and categorizing. But if my learners are older or they need more of a challenge, I might turn this into an extension activities and have my students research which animals need to be weaned from their mother's milk. In this exercise or activity, they might discover the fact that there are some non-mammal animals that actually produce milk-like nourishment from their young, like emperor penguins, flamingos, even certain insects. And great white sharks. So in that case, my semantic map might have categories like mammals, birds, and fish, and insects. And then students would create lines branching out from each of those categories to write animal names for each of the categories. So semantic maps are instructional staples from elementary school and beyond. They really are a very effective tool when it comes to connecting new concepts to prior knowledge, learning new vocabulary, and organizing and retaining new information. Using semantic maps to reinforce vocabulary is one very simple way to help students build background knowledge and learn new terms prior to reading a text, even a decodable text. So that's really it today. It's just a very simple, quick strategy to try in your classroom and watch your students make connections and grow their vocabulary and their background knowledge. So thanks for watching, and remember, just a few minutes a day with targeted semantics practice can do wonders for language comprehension. So thanks so much for watching. I truly appreciate it, and happy teaching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.